listening to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Van Thune, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get exposed. Welcome back to Xposed Living. I'm your host, Stacey Van Thune, and today's conversation is with someone I've known in the online space for a few years now. Brett Knopf and I first connected, I believe, through Craig Siegel's CLS community, and we also shared time being coached in the Dave Meltzer ecosystem. So we've spent years in rooms where the conversation is about growth, ownership, and leading at higher levels. I love Brett knows the thinking into results world, the faculties, and all the good stuff. We were just before starting to talk about energy. So you know this is going to be a high vibe type of conversation. But when we did first meet, we were both in corporate environments while quietly building something more aligned on the side. Today, Brett is a high performance coach for founders and CEOs and also serves as a global head of strategy for, now I'm going to get this right, Uhuru, which means freedom in Swahili, management and living, helping shape luxury wellness and fitness development around the world. He's delivered hundreds of presentations for companies like Equinox, United Health, Healthcare, ING, and Hitachi. But what I respect most about Brett is that he doesn't just teach leadership, he lives it. He made the decision many people talk about, leaving the security of a full-time career to build something more aligned with who he really is. And he did it while being a husband and a father to two boys. And I just have the most respect for him and excited to dive into this conversation. So today we're not just talking strategy, we're talking about belief, identity, relationships, risk, and what it really means to lead yourself first. Welcome, Brett, to Xposed Living.
It is wonderful to be here. That was awesome, Stacey. It's almost like you've done this before.
Well, I mean, it's easy to describe someone like you. And I know that you're so genuine that it was, you shared with me your bio and I was like, I'm going to take that and put my own spin on him because you're one of these people that whenever I'm around, truthfully, Brett, you're calm, you're confident, you're secure in who you are. And I find that a rarity. So I just really appreciate everything you bring.
Like attracts like. I can say all the same things about you as well.
Oh, well, let's dive into this. When we first connected a few years ago, we were both still in corporate, as I mentioned in my intro. And today you've fully stepped into your own path. So I'm curious, Brett, what belief did you have to develop about yourself to leave the safety of your career and bet on who you're becoming?
It's a great question, and gratefully I've been able to help other people reframe this as they've segued out of their quote unquote safe and secure corporate role into the risks and unknown of entrepreneurship. So it was actually during the Thinking into Results program when I was working with one of the Procter Gallagher um, consultants at that point that I realized through that work that it was actually far more risky to leave my time and dime in someone else's hands than it was to leave them in my own hands. You're basically giving away that opportunity to create your path, and you're left to the discretion and sometimes not even their own discretion, but the way the wind is blowing for your own livelihood. And that happened during COVID for me. It was through no fault of their own, through no fault of my own, that my safe, fun, impactful, secure job was taken away from me. So yeah, it just the way the universe works, it all coincided, and I recognize that it wasn't really risky to go do it on my own. It was just different. And I'd say alongside that was really wrapping my head around this concept of if I want to build self trust, self respect, self esteem, self confidence, I need to do the things that I say I'm going to do, the things that I commit to doing, independently of saying that to anyone externally. The things I say to myself are the things that I need to execute on. And in the rare cases where I don't, admit it and adjust accordingly. And that brings with it that willingness to risk betting on yourself.
You know, I think that when we were growing up, though, we were taught, right? Better safe than to be sorry. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's like falsehood around what true security is. So I love the way that you position that response.
Yeah. It was a big change for me. I grew up very much in that type of environment with those types of phrases being thrown around. So a lot of conditioning there that has had to and continues to have to be worked on, or I choose to work on those things rather.
Well, I think it's that level of awareness that you bring to it because I don't think everybody has that insight to stop and reflect and to see, like, oh my gosh, my confidence is actually created through what I do. It's not like it's just been handed down. And just because I had it in certain areas in my life doesn't mean I'm going to have it forever. And in the way that what it is that I want to create requires me to have it.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. It's most things, in my personal opinion, are predicated on awareness. It's that reflection. It's if I know who I am, what I want to do, then I can make strategic and intentional choices about what I'm going to do next that supports that, what I'm going to do to adjust or omit the things that are not moving me towards who I want to be and what I want to accomplish. So it all starts from awareness. Otherwise, we're just acting out the same subconscious patterns over and
Yeah.
over and over again and thinking we're making strategic and intentional decisions.
Do you think, though, for someone to be able to do that, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on how you had it, is that knowing where you want to go?
I believe that's the key
Yeah.
element to all of it. It's knowing where you want to go with complete clarity, detail. It's documented. I have it basically all around me at all times. I got books here. I got a whiteboard in front of me. It's up on my computer. Like just that North Star. And then you can figure out who do I need to be in order to actualize that? What type of person do I need to be that achieves those types of outcomes? And then we can start putting the pieces together from there. Who's done those things? What character traits do they have? What do I currently have that supports that? What do I need to put into my operating rhythm to achieve that? And tracking all of it so I can see again, it can be very binary in it's moving me towards that objective or it's moving me away from that objective. And let's just look at that day after day, action after action. We're most likely going to achieve that. At worst, we're going to become I say much better. We're going to become people that we want to be that much more quickly and effectively.
I'm smiling because earlier on this month, I was doing a talk, and I was talking about this exact thing of how we have to be, do, have. The creation like is around be, do, have. And so many people wait till they have it, and then they'll say, I'll do it. But, it's just people just continue to wait. So let's talk into your journey when ultimately there was this gap between who you are and who you need to be to create. What was some of the things that, and I get it, it's a journey where we'll never arrive. I always said when we arrive, we're dead. But what were some of those things that you needed to let go of that maybe even like looking back, you, at one time they were beliefs that helped propel you, but now they were things that they weren't in alignment. Are there things like that that surprised you that you would need to let go of or to recalibrate?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I spent in my corporate career almost 2 decades in leadership and sales management roles. And then gratefully, I was able to help a lot of people identify their goals and create the game plans, the roadmaps, give them the resources, the strategies to help them achieve those things. And a lot of that came from experiences. I think most of us are experiential learners, but I also do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts and audiobooks, so on and so forth, where I was able to regurgitate those principles, those strategies to people and see them have success. But then I wasn't doing those things myself. So I had this resentment for myself, this imposter syndrome that's very buzzy, but it really is imposter syndrome. It's like, who the hell am I to be telling these people to do these things when I'm not doing them myself? And I had successes, but it was more accidental. And as I reflect back on it, I actually was following some of these processes, but not with awareness or intention necessarily. So I think to answer your question, the thing I had to let go of was this, disdain for myself, this resentment for myself, because I was able to help people in those capacities. And just because I wasn't doing it necessarily didn't make me an imposter, didn't make me a villain. It was, I'm okay. And letting go of that has freed me up to not only just move forward with more confidence and self-assuredness and self-love, but it's also shown me on the more strategic front, it's not just reading and learning about, it's applying is where the real power lies. Now it's knowledge isn't power, it's applied knowledge where the power is, because now I have the data, I have the information to see what's working, what's not working, so that I can make adjustments based off of facts and figures rather than feelings and emotions.
It is so good because it's that, you can't learn how to swim by reading a book.
Right.
Right. And it's like that applied. And I think when it comes to personal development, a lot of us fall in love with the material. It feels good. It's great. But just as you were saying that too, I was thinking of knowledge is empowered. It's the execution. And through that execution, you're gaining that confidence, that additional belief in you that's required to be in alignment with your goal or what it is, that new result that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's funny to realize that in the aftermath, because we talk about reflection, and these types of questions are things that I've discussed amongst others, and I've written down and doing that introspective deep dive on a daily basis. So you look back and it's like, huh, that's interesting. It's
Get curious.
yeah, it's difficult, but it's fun.
Well, and it was also back to one of your first things that you said, that I like how you're so intentional with your words, and you said committed decisions. And I feel like there's a lot of us I know I've been there, that say we make a decision, and as long as those actions still are fairly within the span of what we feel comfortable with, we're good with it. But the moment we kind of get to that edge to like feel the resistance and move through it, I've been guilty anyways of listening to that doubt that sounds really logical, to just like stay here, do this, why now? Maybe that's not going to work. And when you were explaining your first response to the question around belief, you said, it's that commitment of that decision. So that is doing the things then that may seem at that time a little bit illogical, but trusting that we won't be able to get what we want staying where we're at or within this element of quote, quote, comfort.
Yeah, it's an evolution where that's concerned, meaning over the course of my existence and it sounds like what's going on with you as well, that logic, that reason, that voice that is so compelling, that's saying, no, don't do that. That's dangerous. Get back, stay away from the edge. Don't, no.
Yeah.
I listened to that plenty of times. And it was during that period that I mentioned, the thinking into results and segueing out of corporate into entrepreneurship, that I really learned to listen to my gut. That gut really is that second brain, maybe even be the first brain, frankly. And when I feel that fear or I feel that misalignment, it always starts there. And because there's an awareness, and now there's also the experience and successes of listening to that, I'm able to shut down that logic reason voice, which is designed to keep us safe, but it actually isn't benefiting us in a lot of respects. And just go forward, risk betting on myself that I will always figure it out in the end. And there really are no failures. There are learning lessons. And I know that gets thrown around a lot. But one of the things that I talk about in all my speeches, coaching, business, whatever, is every one of us literally, statistically, has a 100% success rate of overcoming any adversity you face. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Like, when you're dead, yeah, okay, couldn't overcome that.
Right.
So, understand that and take solace in that, and be excited about that. And you're going to live a much more extraordinary life if you truly believe that.
You're talking around a little bit right now around like that self-leadership, right? And you mentioned your experience in leadership in sales. And I'm curious, how does self-leadership show up in sales performance?
It's really everything. I see very talented people out there, and regrettably, their results don't match their talent. And that's because they are not leading themselves. They're not tracking what they're doing. Their habits don't support high performance. They are just relying on their God-given talent, frankly, rather than putting in the work and having the discipline to do the things that support high performance. It can get you far in a lot of respects, the talent, but it's all the other pieces that go into it. And I find that it goes back to what we said earlier about self-confidence, self-respect, self-esteem, self-trust. They know they're full of shit because they know that they're cutting corners. They're not, operating with integrity necessarily. And those things sabotage your performance. And in sales, if you're not really confident, you're just faking that confidence, uh, there's going to be holes poked in that as you go along. And energetically, I also believe strongly from a karmic perspective, if you are cutting corners, if you're not operating with integrity, and you're just not looking to create wins all around, you're putting a firm cap on your success, despite being talented.
Yeah, I think that goes back to a person's attitude around it. I mean, it's interesting because I always say that sales is that transfer of belief. And if
Yeah,
you go
very
in
much.
and not feeling that belief in it, I mean, back to energetically, it also doesn't lie. And people will pick up on that doubt. And we don't necessarily get what we want, but we get what we prepared for. So if we're just relying on being able to continue the success that we've got without demonstrating more effort or improving our skill set, then when you want to get more, it's going to be like you got what you prepared for. I mean, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, well said.
And I love that about you. Like, I know that every time we talk, we'll talk about mindset and awareness and the energetics of it. But something you are so disciplined in is really looking at those numbers, analyzing the trends, like studying the data, so to speak. And I'm curious what you do because I think that those results are a great indication of where your thinking was. But then is it also being like, oh, I want this. So then that shows me my thinking needs to be elevated or my actions need to be elevated a little more. Not using it
Bingo.
to determine your potential, but as feedback, as you say.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's I don't want to leave things solely to emotion, feeling. I do strongly believe that 90%, and you can vary on the percentage, but 90% is our attitude and our energy and belief systems. And 10% is the strategies, tactics, actions. But part of those strategies, tactics, actions is evaluating where are my beliefs.
Yeah.
What's going on
How am
on
I
that
doing?
front.
Yeah.
Yeah, how am I doing? Checking in. And my practice that I've created structure and habit around over the last several years has been to, at the end of every single day, I sit with, my journals here. I've got my, again, goals up on the whiteboard. I've got them up on my computer here. I have my key performance indicators for my business up here. And I've got my calendar open. And you mentioned Meltzer earlier. He actually taught me this, but be a student of your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So I have everything in there, and with all these things up in front of me, I start going action by action and writing down my evaluation of those things. Did this work? How did it work? Why did it work? Did it not work? Why didn't it work? Did this move me towards those clearly defined and documented objectives? Yes or no? If yes, how do I do more of that moving forward? What do I need to adjust or omit? So, action by action, day by day, there's this awareness and ability to evaluate what the heck is actually going on, not hiding from myself, not making it up, tying metrics into it, so that in as close to real time as I believe is valuable, I can course correct, or I can do
Mm-hmm.
more of what's already working. I can look ahead to my next day and see what's in there, set intention of how I'm going to approach those actions, and then move things here, there, adjust, omit, and I can keep moving forward in as linear a path as possible towards what I'm aiming to accomplish.
You know, when you're talking, Brett, I have such respect for you and admire you. Like, that takes a level of discipline. People talk about doing these things, but few people do it. Then they'll see somebody achieve success and be like, he was lucky. But like, I think what you just described for anybody is a strong process, a strategy for success. I mean, success doesn't happen by accident. It happens through some of the exact things that you were describing there. And it takes that level of discipline. So if somebody isn't doing that discipline, in your experience, is it that they lack clarity of what they want, or they don't have a definite goal, or like what was that change for you? Or were you always that reflective and diligent with doing the morning, the evening routines and in between?
No, I,
I was like,
definitely not.
damn.
Not even close. Well, and that's part of the contrast
Yeah.
of life, which I appreciate and respect, is I know who I was and how I operated at this point in my life, this point in my life, this point in my life, and here's how I felt, and here were the results during those different periods. So I can compare and contrast. And as I incorporated this, and actually let me rewind even further. So I'm going to be 45 this year. When I was 28 years old, I had never used a calendar, a to-do list. Not, I used to mock people about it. So it's really a changing of the guard
Full
over the
circle.
year. Yeah. Um, so what's encouraging about that is it's a learned and developed skill set and mindset around it. And to answer your question, yeah, I think a lot of that came down to not being crystal clear on what I wanted to accomplish in my life and my career. It was certainly not documented anywhere. I wasn't looking at it or thinking about it on any sort of regular basis. So I say this all the time to people that when you don't have a compelling aiming point like that, you're aimless. And if you're aimless, you're likely going to have anxiety and depression, a lot of not so fun things going on, overwhelm. What that also does is, why in the hell would you be disciplined? Towards what end? Like, why would I be disciplined if I don't have a clearly defined and compelling fitness goal? And why would I go to the gym? If I don't have a clear and compelling business goal, why would I sit here and make 500 cold calls today? It's like it makes sense to me why there would be that lack of discipline, let alone motivation. None of the above. Maybe you'll have spurts of motivation, but yeah, and the discipline certainly isn't there. So it really does come down to it being clear, and I say compelling. And that was another thing that thinking the results really flipped on its head for me, was this concept of smart goals versus worthy goals, and just dreaming big, having these big audacious goals that are emotionally driven. This is I write it down. What do I want to achieve most in this world? And if I am being honest with myself, those are things that are going to excite me, and I'm going to want to do the hard things, and I'm going to overcome adversity. I'm going to have discipline because it's so exciting and compelling.
I understand that. I always say if your why isn't greater than your why not, the why not will win. And I
Nice.
found that last year when I was training for my half Ironman, right? It was really watching the goal achievement process come into action because I wanted it. And I remember my mentor, we used to always say, well, make your goal your love story. And I was like, damn it, have you seen my love history? Like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But when I locked in on that, and it was like, I was already crossing the finish line. So when the alarm went off at 4 or something ridiculous to go do a workout, it was like there was no question. It
Yeah.
was just what the goal demanded. So, and if you really loved it, and it was really interesting for me because it was a big switch between goal setting to goal achievement process, and seeing like, wow, when you want this, like you will move mountains for it. And if not, go back to what Brett was saying and take that time to reflect, to find out what it is, because you'll know when you lock into that goal. Like it will be the dominant thought on your mind. And, I think for myself anyways, it was the first time I realized, well, maybe some of the goals that I'm setting and say I want, I don't really want,
Yeah.
and that's okay, but like go do the search. Hey, I don't want to be remiss of the new adventure that you're on, and I want you to share with people because it's super exciting that you now work in luxury wellness space, helping build environments that support human performance. So, can you share a little bit about your new company, what you do, what you do, and the impact that's creating?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it goes to what we're talking about. There's this excitement. I'm up at 6:30 on a Sunday morning taking calls this past week when it was daylight savings time over here, so we're like 5:30 um, because I want to, because I'm excited about it. So, what my partner and I are doing with Uhuru Management and Living is we're working with luxury developers, ultra high net worth individuals to help make sure that those fitness and wellness investments are working at a high level from a financial standpoint, operational standpoint, experiential standpoint in either their private residences or in these multifamily mixed use buildings across the world. And because health and wellness is such a cornerstone of my personal life. Spent 13 years at Equinox doing similar type of work and helping personal trainers, personal trainer leadership build their businesses. It it really just intersects everything that I care about, everything that I've done in my life and career to this point, into something that is really compelling to me. And the big thing, and I know we're talking about playing in the luxury market here, but something that I want to bring everywhere over time is this concept of longevity homes, meaning your home is a place that really elevates your overall health span and lifespan. We're talking about focusing in on air quality, water quality, recovery, circadian rhythms, just all the things. So I'm really happy and excited and have great partners in all of this with people who are just looking to create elite performance in the people that they are that are the clientele in this case.
Before I get into my ageless fire round, go ahead, continue to speak on this. If someone is interested in all these things that you're talking about, how do they get a hold of you or find out more about the incredible stuff Uhuru is doing? I said it
Yeah,
right? Uhuru?
yeah, you're nailing it.
Hey!
My wife. She's like, "You sure you want to have that name? It's a little difficult." It's like I didn't pick it; my partner picked it, and I
I
like what
like
it
it.
stands for. It stands for freedom, and that's what we're all about here.
I love it
So
because I feel like it's this element of getting really grounded when I say it. Like I actually have to pause, be
yeah,
intentional with it. So I like it. I like it. I
Uhuru.
like, Uhuru.
It can be soothing.
Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, if you want to find me, you can always look for me on LinkedIn. Brett Knopf. Our website is Uhuru. That's UHURU living.com. And really, I'd love to have a conversation about anything, let alone this concept. I look at everyone as an unofficial mentor that I learn from, and my intention in any interaction is to give as much value as I can, even if that's just a kind word or two.
Brett, I'm not letting this go without asking, what does being a strong husband and father look like while building something ambitious like you're doing? Because I think that there's a lot of people that say you can't have both. And I'd be remiss in saying I feel like you're somebody that displays both. And so I'm curious, what do you find?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's admittedly a very difficult balancing act, and one that I've had to continue to refine as I've gone along. So what I'll say is, my kids are on the younger side still, and I see statistics like by the age of 12, you'll have spent 75% of your time with them. So right now, when I'm not on a call or with a client or traveling, if they ask me to play, I drop what I'm doing and I play because I don't take that for granted, and they're most important to me. Where my wife is concerned, she's an entrepreneur as well. We have to intentionally carve out time, and independently of the unstructured time that I just mentioned with the kids, I have that in my schedule as well. And I want to make sure that I am not overworking. I love work, and I just I'm obsessed with it, but I'm also obsessed with my family, and I've learned not to resent myself for spending one time or too, quote unquote, too much time in either bucket. There is a time and a place for everything. It just requires that intentionality and that tracking and awareness of what's going on. And you can have it all. It may not be exactly, it actually almost is never exactly the way that you want it to be from a time perspective, but you can adjust accordingly if you're paying attention.
Thank you for sharing that. So you ready for a little bit of fire round before we end up?
Let's go. What has this
Roll
been?
it.
This is
Roll it.
what is this,
Roll
a
it.
water round?
Yeah, no. Okay, you tell us some things. Morning routine or night routine? What's more important to you?
Morning routine.
What's a non-negotiable with your morning routine?
Gratitude.
Why?
Because I want to wake up every day thankful for having another chance to create, make an impact. I don't take it for granted.
Good. Discipline or motivation?
Discipline all day.
Discipline is the key to freedom.
100%.
I love it. A book that shaped you. Book,
Uh,
podcast, something, whatever you.
yeah, your wish is your command.
Who stopped by?
Kevin Trudeau. It's
You
new.
Brett? Okay.
Yeah. And it has been life altering over the last several weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something your kids think you're terrible at.
My kids think I'm terrible at. I got to actually think about this one.
I'm going to ask
They
them
think,
after.
yeah, we got to get them on the horn. I actually we have family meetings and like, what can I be doing better? And they don't really give me much feedback. I'd welcome it. What can I be doing better? Actually, not necessarily being so hard on them about their dietary choices.
Dad, give me a damn cookie.
Yeah. So I could simmer down a little bit on that front.
A belief about success you've outgrown.
Belief about success. Uh, that belief of success that I have outgrown. That you just have to work hard and you'll make it happen. There's a lot more to it than just working hard.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Figure out what you want to do with complete clarity, certainty, and excitement. Figure out who has done that or is doing that at that level and seek out their counsel, ideally directly, but if not directly, through their books, their podcasts, their social media, and incorporate what they tell you into your own operating rhythm.
So good. One word your wife would use to describe her. We're going to have the whole family on the next episode.
Seriously. Driven.
Driven. I was going to ask, like, when it comes to the cooking, who does the cooking? Share
We
it?
both do. Yeah, we share. I
Okay,
like
that's good.
cooking. It's just from a time efficiency standpoint, it's not the best because if I do it, I want to prep and make something really nice. So we're talking an hour and a half, and that's not always feasible.
I got two more for you. Sales call or keynote stage?
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
Sales call or a keynote stage?
Keynote stage.
All right. Get this man. He is incredible. And what does exposed living or living exposed mean to you at this stage in your life?
it's about letting it rip, flying. It means uhuru. Yeah, I've spent too much time, as likely most of us have or are doing, posturing rather than this is who I am. And I know my intentions and I know who I am, and I love myself for that. And I'm not afraid to unabashedly share that with the world because that's my gift.
Is your gift. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate this
Thank you.
conversation. You reminded us that leadership isn't about titles or strategy. It's about the courage to be you. Talked a lot about self-trust, self-belief, self-esteem, and to leave comfort to bet on who you're becoming and to lead yourself at a higher level so others can rise with you. And to everyone listening, if this conversation resonated with you, maybe it stirred something within. That's not random. It's awareness. And awareness is where reinvention begins. Until next time, this is Xposed Living. I'm Stacey Van Thun. And remember, your edge isn't the end, it's the beginning. That's it for today's episode of Xposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Xposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Xposed Living.